Welcome to another Foolish Thoughts episode. This is Joseph Barone, aka A Fool for Learning, your training and learning consultant. And our foolish thought for today is The Gatekeeper, Part 2. Once again, I have Sylvester Giustino with me. And Sylvester, as mentioned in my last podcast, is a government affairs consultant at the Bennett Group DC. His practice focuses on appropriations, transportation, labor, energy, state government affairs, crisis communications, and response and political outreach. He has a proven track record as an accomplished association executive. Sylvester has led the advocacy outreach for numerous organizations, securing significant legislative wins while working to rebuild and enhance the reputation of these organizations. He has also served as an appointed official at the state and the federal level, and he was the Deputy Director of the Office of Public Liaison at the U.S. Department of Labor during the previous presidential administration. As mentioned in our last, and so Sylvester, first, welcome.
Thank you.
And it was mentioned in our previous episode, we talked about what is a gatekeeper and what is the purpose of gatekeepers. And in this episode, we want to look at two key areas in which I think your experience will really benefit our listeners. And first is, what are some of the common quote-unquote roadblocks or gates that you encounter in your daily work in trying to represent your clients and get to these gatekeepers and get to their bosses? And second, once you've identified some of those common roadblocks, what are your strategies, or what are the strategies that you'd use to help open those gates?
Sure.
So, Sylvester, I'm going to turn it over to you on the common roadblocks or gates you encounter.
Sure, yeah. As we mentioned in our first episode, gatekeeper has a negative connotation. These are, it's not to be negative. We have these staff, these good people are professionals, they're staffing, they're bosses. In my world, they may be members of Congress or lead executive departments. But I think in your listeners' world, I'm sure there are multiple examples of gatekeepers within the business world. And, if, for example, if somebody is seeking to make a business deal, develop some kind of partnership with another company, oftentimes it may come in the most personal of ways. You could be at an event and see somebody from a company that you want to do business with. They may not make the decisions, but they may help inform decisions. And you get that person's contact information, or you find them on LinkedIn and you reach out to them. And oftentimes you may run into somebody who doesn't respond, who may wave you off and go, well, it was nice meeting you, and you're left with this. You're waiting for them to say something else. And that phrase doesn't fall from their lips. They don't say, yes, I will be in touch, or, let me get you in touch with somebody in my office who handles that. As the listener, may hear that and go, am I not being seen or heard? And I think for some of your listeners, I'm sure they have encountered this kind of feeling many times. And it's one of the things that I think all of us have to learn how to lead and grow from and perform better when we encounter these roadblocks.
Okay. And so when you encounter these roadblocks, what are the ways that you overcome them? What are some of your strategies? Because I think that's really the key. A person says, doesn't respond. A person says, I'm not sure if we're really interested. Person says, send me some information. How do you overcome these roadblocks to eventually get to the person you really need to speak to?
Sure, yeah. I think the first thing is persistence. That's great. You got that business card. You met that person at an event, at a meeting, and you reach out to them, you email them. Now, sadly, a lot of people don't answer their phones anymore. Everything's through email, and you have to give it some time. I mean, we're all busy professionals, but also be wary, be mindful that the person that you met may not be the right person. I think in today's world, it's only gotten more complicated with job titles. You see all kinds of inversions of different job titles, and you go, well, what does managing director of impact or opportunity mean? And it's a real head scratcher, or something like that. In my world, it's you might meet somebody who handles press and communications, but you have an event you want your member of Congress to go to. Well, that person doesn't handle that issue. So you may make contact with that person, and if they don't get back to you, you either try them again or go, well, I know they're in this organization. Let me find the appropriate person who handles this, or find some way to get to the principal, him or herself, whoever that person may be. It's persistence, it's research, and patience. But at the same time, if you do that, that's one strategy I always use. If I can't get in front of somebody who doesn't return my call, I'm going to go find somebody else.
Usually when you send an email, so not to steal away any particular strategy, but generally when you send an email to someone, do you include it in something along the line of, like, if you're not the right person, can you please let me know who, or can you please forward this to the right? Do you prefer that they contact you and say the right person is Joe Barone?
Right. I do a little bit of both.
Okay.
I go, if I don't think you're the right person, I will mention that in the email. I will say it was great meeting you. Looking forward to speaking to somebody on your team about this, and please get back to me as soon as you can. And if that doesn't happen, I find the person. But one thing that I always do is network. Use your network to your advantage. There may be somebody in your office or in your organization that may know the person that you need to get in front of. You'd be surprised what you can find. That's why I love things like LinkedIn, where you go, okay, well, I know I met this person from this office or this company, but I really need to get to the next level, the guy on the next floor. So how do I do that? Well, I have a relationship with a vendor. I have a relationship with a business partner or something. I can ask them for help. And I think that's another successful way to do it. Leverage your network, because you'd never be surprised who they may know.
And do you ask them, in leveraging your network, do you ask them to make the introduction for you, or do you ask them, hey, can I put your name in the email or the phone call, drop your name, or is it both?
I think it's always good to ask that person, what they're comfortable with. I do both. If I don't hear back within a certain amount of time, then I find somebody within my network and either find them again or ask them. If I go, look, if you're closer to this principal or CEO or member of Congress that I need to talk to, can you please make the introduction for me? And there's, sometimes you may hear a no, but most times I think if you have a good relationship with them, again, and leverage your network and who you know, you'd be surprised. But it's hard to feel kind of bad about yourself when you don't think you're getting the appropriate level of service that you deserve.
I agree. Are there any other strategies? At one point it came into my mind earlier. Is there ever a point where you just say, you know what, I just can't get through, no matter what I do? Have you ever come across that?
Yeah. I actually have. and it's very it's kind of sad in a way where you exhausted every avenue that you think of to get this person. You've emailed them, you've called them, you've used your network, you have done your research and homework to determine how you can get in front of the principal who is making decisions, or the person who really is the top dog in the organization. And it's a very sad feeling. I will say this. One thing I've always learned in my business is you never want to be at a public event or any other meeting and have somebody come up to you and go, "Your staff never got back to me." I can't tell you how nerve-wracking that is to hear when your boss comes back to the office after a meeting and goes, "Why didn't anybody here call this person back?" I think it hurts. Reputation is everything, and you have to if that happens, you have to realize that they have a reputation to uphold. And if it comes to that, you have to say, "Yeah, I'm sorry. Nice finally meeting you, but I asked to meet with you about a business opportunity, or to ask you a question, or to get your advice on something, and nobody got back to me." Say it, and don't be afraid to say it either, because that if that person hears that, then that should be rectified.
And let me, if memory, can you maybe jog your memory a little bit? What's the longest amount of time you've ever tried to reach someone?
Sure.
And then finally just said, I just have to give up. It's not working.
I'd say anywhere from 2 weeks to a month, and that's being very generous. Where after going through all the processes that I use to get to, either request a meeting or to have some kind of interaction with this person. When I go, okay, I've exhausted everything. I did everything I could.
Okay. Any other strategy you want to share with our listeners of how to overcome any objections? Anything else?
I would say the most important thing is to be ready to hear no. That may be sometimes that's hard to hear, or it's either hearing no or being told that they're not interested, because you do all this work. You do all you spend a great amount of time that you could be doing on something else to make contact with somebody, and you go, well, I put in my time and effort into this, and it's a no, or we're not interested.
I'm going to ask you one last question, because I know it's a lesson that I've learned over time, and that is, how much do you document every single action you take? Do you simply say, on July 1st, 2024, I wrote to so-and-so, who is the staff member for X, regarding this matter? Do you just simply do that, or do you do a little bit more detailed? And at the end of you're attempting to reach this person, so let's say, as you said, it's been 2 weeks, it's been a month, maybe even a month and a half,
Sure.
Really outrageous, but you've documented all these things. How much documentation do you do each time you attempt to contact someone, each time you do research? And then 2, do you turn this over to the client, or do you then give the client and say, here's a summary of everything we attempted to do, which is why we're going to be charging you X amount of dollars?
Good question. I always, when I work with my clients, I document everything. I include them in the emails. Whenever I meet with them for our weekly or bi-weekly calls, it's, hey, I'm working on getting you in front of this office or this department for the issue that we're working on. And I think detailing what your outreach helps, because you never know when you may have another opportunity. It can happen. People change jobs, and another opportunity may arise, and you may go, well, I reached out to somebody on the team about this issue, about this business opportunity, and I didn't hear back. And if they go, when did you reach out to us? You can show, you can show when you've made those phone calls, when you sent those emails. And I think when you show them that proof, it only helps you more.
Excellent. Yeah. For me, although it's similar, is documenting dealing with clients, especially with a client who did not pay. For me, I know it's a totally separate subject. I've done a whole bunch of podcasts on it.
Yes.
But it's one of the lessons that I've learned.
Very important.
Is I didn't document my dealings with this client as well as I should. And it's been a lesson that I learned the hard way. So, Sylvester, is there anything else you'd like to add on this issue, or the issue of any common roadblocks or gates that you encounter, any strategies that help open those gates?
Well, I think one common thing to keep in mind is that we all encounter these gatekeepers in our professional lives. The key is to be ready for it, and to not take it personally. A lot of times these individuals who work and are staffing these offices, it could be a CEO of a company or whatever. They're very busy people, and you're a very busy person too, and your time matters. So don't take it personally, to the best of your ability, when you feel like you're not getting the help that you're asking for.
Well, thank you so much, Sylvester. I greatly appreciate you taking the time
Thank you.
With me, but more importantly, to share your knowledge with our listeners. And if a listener wishes to get a hold of you because maybe they have a question, or maybe they're even interested in speaking with you about possibly engaging you in some business, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
The best and easiest way is to find me on LinkedIn. It's Sylvester Giustino, and I look forward to providing any help I can.
Once again, thank you very much, Sylvester.
Thank you.
Just to let our listeners know, in our next episode, episode 3, which will be our final episode, we're going to talk with Sylvester about the skills he believes that you need in order to do this particular job. The job that he's doing, trying to get his clients past the quote-unquote gatekeepers in front of the CEO, the congressman, the senator, whoever that might be. And so, if you've learned something from this particular episode, please take a moment to like, comment, subscribe, or maybe even share with a friend. And to learn more about how I can assist you and your organization with an appropriate learning solution to meet your business needs, please visit my website at afoolforlearning.com. This is Joseph Barone, aka A Fool for Learning, signing out. Remember, learn, perform, succeed.